What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NBA Carousel, a Sideline Sports Network production, proudly sponsored by Score. No Score app, available for download in Apple and Google Play Store. Also sponsored by Manscaped. And check out the Inscriber online magazine, where you can get all your culture, technology, and sports news provided by Sideline Sports. I'm your host, Megan Price. And I got Jen, the producer, who is also our Boston Celtics rep. And we have Steve Shawanda covering the Golden State Warriors. So we'll be wrapping up the NBA Finals. As we all know, Golden State Warriors came out victorious. Let's start with just kind of how the series went. As we know, it went 4-2. Steve, you want to start us off with just kind of the first few games, what you thought, and then, we'll finish up with the last few games.
Yeah, really the only thing that surprised me, and we've talked about it since. The only thing that surprised me about the series was that Golden State lost game one.
Right.
Because, obviously they've been playing very well at home. They only lost one postseason game at home, which obviously was game one, the entire postseason. And they were well rested. Boston just had a very tough series where they battled and had to come back. And it seemed like they were playing elimination games for like 2 weeks straight. I'm sure Jen probably felt that way.
Right.
Milwaukee series, and then also obviously the Heat series. So you just felt that at home Golden State was the pressure team, and then that fourth quarter happened, the 40-16 quarter. And so really that is literally the only thing that surprised me the entire series. Everything else was about how I thought it was going to go. I picked Golden State in 6 beforehand. That's what happened. And so literally the only thing that surprised me was Golden State losing game one. Other than that, everything went according to plan for Warrior Nation.
Absolutely. And the score on that game was 120-108. And it was a bit of a shocker. I don't know. I think it kind of solidified Boston, though, for me to sit there and say, like, hey, we're here. We don't need to break up our core. We made the right coaching decision finally. Moving Brad Stevens to the front office was the right option as well. And so, because I know once Roy Williams retired, there was talk that Brad Williams was going to go over to UNC, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen with him. As soon as Brad Stevens became president of operations, I believe that's what he is, he moved Kemba Walker like within seconds of getting the title. And obviously it was the right decision for them because they made it to the finals. They definitely defied everything that I thought that they were going to be this season. So Jen, you want to talk about Boston's season and what led y'all up to getting to the finals?
Sure. So first of all, congratulations, Steve. And I like Coach Kerr and I love Steph. So I'm happy for them. Clay and Draymond, not the biggest fan. And I'll stand by that. I'm steadfast in that. I think you have a little bromance going on with Steph. I'm just saying. A little bit T-tight. But I think that I've said all season long, positivity wins at the end. And Megan, you and I discussed this at the very beginning of the season. I was like, I think we're going to at least get into the play-in tournament. I don't know how far we're going to go, but I could see us going into the final, not the finals, but into the playoffs. And I think you're nodding because you remember too. And they've blown my mind. I did not expect this. I do still say positivity wins because the last time the C's were even in playoff contention like this and in the finals was 2010. So I'm sticking with positivity wins. I agree that now they can hush up breaking up our core because that's that's trite, right? So
yes, absolutely.
I mean, and Steph was like, listen, my parents are having a very public divorce. Get your butts out there and play ball. Right. Like, I'm being positive for you guys.
Ooh.
I need you to. So I'll say that Steph Curry's positivity wins. And I also think that some of the players, especially after 3 mass shootings in 10 days, and was bringing back some, bad memories for her. Like, they probably started Coach Kerr, which is important. Because, of his history with, guns and violence with his dad.
And for those of y'all that don't know, his dad was murdered by gun violence. So just putting that out there.
And I just think that I can't say that. I mean, the Celtics did great, and I will stand by this. Had we gone to a game 7, we'd be singing a different tune. I really believe that still. but that I also said
so y'all would have closed it out in the
7.
Oracle. Y'all would have closed it out in the
You
Oracle. That's what you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
well, I guess
Okay,
the Warriors won in Boston then.
Indeed. And so, I will say that we all know what the Boston fans are like. And many times you hear coaches describe the fans as that sixth man, how important home court advantage is. And so when they kind of changed the format, because it's not 2-2-2 anymore, they do 2 in the higher ranked one, then they do 2 in the other city, and then they do 1 in the number 1 seed, and then they go back and do another game in the number 2 seed. And so, it did end up ending this series in the Garden. So, for me, it left a question in that there might possibly be a game 7, because like I said, we all know what these Boston fans are like and how important they are to the game. But ended up being 103-90, and it just looked like Boston was pretty gassed the whole game. They looked tired.
Yeah, they did.
They did look tired, and I will say that they put up a good fight in the series, though. I did expect it to go 7 games. Did not expect game 1 to go how it went. And then by game 6, it just looked like experience played that factor that I kind of thought it was going to be, that experience that Steve Kerr has, that experience that core has with each other. Steve, question. I had said that, this might possibly be the last time we see the core of Golden State intact as it is. And I felt like the one movable piece really is Draymond. Do you think that them winning this championship kind of saved his job? Do you think he's still a movable piece, or do you think they'll keep him where he's at?
No, Draymond's definitely not a movable piece at all. Truthfully, if there's anyone who technically could be moved, it would be Clay, truthfully.
Okay.
Jordan Poole's coming up. And by the way, I prepared to talk about it for the looking forward, but just so you know, well, it's a great lead-in question, so we'll talk about it now. The Warriors have 8 people currently under contract right now. Steph through 2016, Clay through 2024, Draymond through 2024, Wiggins through 2023, and then Wiseman 24, Poole 23, and then obviously Kuminga and Moody till 25. So that's your core. I 100% expect Andre Iguodala to retire and join the coaching staff. I mean, he basically is a player coach anyway. I mean, if you ever watch any timeout as they're going to the bench and he's going to be talking to somebody. So I think he's a natural coach. I think he's going to step in and be an assistant coach on the team or some player development role. But I expect him to stop playing and still join the team. Looney's an interesting one. Porter Jr. and Peyton II are interesting ones. Those are kind of the ones that I think they would probably need to, or I think they're important. I mean, obviously you're hoping that Wiseman could be, he's not going to be, I don't think personally Wiseman's ever going to be like the guy, but I think he could be like a, 15 and 10 guy. Like, I think he could be really good. I'm hoping he'd be really good. I
mean, that's more points than Draymond averages, and the same on the board.
Draymond does so much more than what's in the stat sheet.
He does. Absolutely does.
but I think Wiseman, Poole, Kuminga, and Moody, I think those 4, Wiseman, Poole, Kuminga, Moody, that is your new core moving forward past, I think, 2 years. Obviously the 2022-23 season and then the 23-24 season, as constructed right now, they at least should be competitive in those 2 years. A lot of things that happened right for them to win the championship. By no means am I going to say, they're going to win it all. But I think for at least the next 2 years, they are positioned to at least be competitive if something crazy doesn't happen. And obviously we saw it. I mean, Clay was out, Steph got hurt, and they hit rock bottom. But, and that's the thing. I mean, how lucky can you be? I'll just admit it, right? You went to 6 straight NBA finals. No, five straight NBA finals. Was 3-2. Yeah, it was 3-2. Went to 5 straight NBA finals. Clay got hurt during one of them, which would have been the series with Toronto been different. Who knows? I mean, who knows? We speculate all we want, but anyway, 3-2 in 5 straight years of the finals, and then in the same year that Clay hurts, then Steph gets hurt, and you literally get the 2nd pick in the draft, and then the following year you get 2 lottery picks. So you miss the playoffs 2 years and you have 3 lottery picks to show for it. It doesn't get much better than that, while still, while still obviously paying, Steph, Clay, and Draymond and Wiggins a crap ton of money, but because all those, 3 of them were drafted by the Warriors and the other one was in a trade. So you can, with the Larry Bird exception and all that fun stuff. So thank God for the soft cap in the NBA.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
But, thank God it's not a hard cap like the NFL. But, so you have more that, people will, they're paid all this money. Like, yeah, but they're the guys that they drafted. I mean, Draymond can still name 43 people who were drafted before him, right? And, the Timberwolves passed on Steph twice. How's Johnny Flynn working for you guys? But so they drafted well. They made great moves, like when they picked up D'Angelo Russell, basically for the sole reason of moving him, right? Like, because obviously he doesn't work with Steph and Clay, but with Clay out, they're like, oh, we're going to pick up, and they were able to work a sign and trade to make it all work. And then, you get Wiggins out of the deal, and obviously people at the time maybe thought that was silly, but again, Andrew Wiggins has always been a good player number-wise. He was just in a bad situation on a bad team, and he's not that guy. He can't be the best player on a good team. But if you put him with other good players, he can be very, very good, as we've seen. But like it takes a special person to be the best player on a bad team and still be good. Like you have to be that upper, echelon, right?
Right.
Well, kind of like how Steph last year without Clay and Draymond missing a bunch of times still had this team right in the 8th seed basically all year by himself. But yeah, so moving forward, I don't think you do anything besides try to keep Gary Payton II. Probably, I like either JTA or Porter Jr., maybe Damian Lee. But I love Kevon Looney, so I hope they keep him. If nothing else, as insurance, if Wiseman doesn't just become great, and because of his track record, I mean, I know it's only been 2 seasons, but obviously he missed an entire one. So you you have to have some insurance for him. But yeah, I think you run it back next year as is, and hope for the best. I mean, obviously they play well together. They're well coached. They have veteran leadership. They have young, athletic, up and coming talent. I mean, they're really the perfect team right now, truthfully.
And so we also heard yesterday that the coach, y'all's assistant that was going to go over to Charlotte and be the head coach, he actually backed out. And so how do you feel about that? Do you feel like he really adds to your coaching staff? Is his role really important, or do you think he wanted to stay with a winner?
Yeah, I mean, I think he is important. I think that whole staff is important. I think people take for granted when staffs break up, and especially when it's successful, it usually breaks up quickly, right? And it's what happens. So when you can be successful and still keep your staff intact. I mean, you can say what you want about Mike Brown, but he, and obviously he's moved on, but he was a head coach. He's been there, so him being at that second seat or third seat or whatever you want to call it, it's valuable. It's very valuable. And, the old saying is, the only difference between the assistant coach and the head coach, obviously, is the difference between, giving your opinion and having to make decisions. When you're an assistant coach, you just give your opinion because it's not your fault.
Right.
So you just give opinions and you give your options. It's the head coach who has to make the decision because he's the one who has to, live with it. So, you can give suggestions, but when you're the head coach, you have to make decisions. And some guys are just better suited to be an assistant. And maybe he thought that. Maybe he got cold feet. Maybe he feels really strongly about the core. And it's like, hey, we got a chance to run it back.
Maybe Jordan doesn't know how to build a team.
There may be that. As a Hornets fan, I may or may not have had that same thought.
So, Jen, talk to me about Boston. Obviously, we're talking coaching now. So let's talk Ime and what you think that he's done over there, and just what you can hope for next season.
So Ime's just done an amazing job, and I really feel like I even said this last year. I felt like Stevens was kind of the problem. Sorry.
No problem.
That Brad calling you because you're
No, it's Uber Eats. Sorry.
Your food is on its way.
My food is on its way. Let me text my husband and tell him to call them. Sorry about that. That's so
No
professional.
Hey, gotta eat.
Come get phone.
That's funny.
Okay. But they okay, I think Emma's been a great asset. I think Stevens was a bigger issue in the locker room than anyone was ever willing to give him credit. But he knew how to build a team on the same, right? So they did. The Celtics organization did literally get rid of him totally. They did want fresh blood, and that fresh blood took a losing record team at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Along with, and I've got to give Marcus Smart a lot of credit too, because I think it all came together when he totally chewed out that Celtics locker room.
In the media. And I was a little critical of him doing it in the media because I definitely think it needed to be said, period. But, like no dig at that. It needed to be said. And what he said was that we're predictable. He said they always know what to do because it's always Tatum or Brown with the ball. So our opposition always knows what to do. And it was a very correct criticism. And so, but I was a little leery of him doing it in the media. Were you good with that? Or do you feel like it proved its point by kind of bringing in?
I think at the end of the day, it proved its point.
Okay.
Because you know what? If he's bringing that to the media, what's he saying behind closed doors?
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
So he's letting them have it because he knows the talent and the skill level. He look what Marcus Smart's done during the playoffs. Look at what Al Horford did.
Horford had an amazing series.
And we've got these people like Pritchard did pretty good. I mean, I can't complain. Like people are like, "Oh, you were wrong. I was right." I don't care because I like Steph. I like the Celtics
He's
too.
Such a likable guy. He's such a likable.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm happy Steph got another ring. I'm sad Draymond and Clay did.
Why don't you like Clay? Clay's pretty likable too.
I don't know. Like him. Like him. He did some shady stuff in his past, and I'm that girl who you can like do me wrong. That's fine. I'll forgive you. But like, if you're an athlete and you're doing it to other athletes, that's just jacked up. So that's just who I am. And I hold sports grudges. I don't hold grudges in my real life, but I hold sports grudges.
Sports grudges. Okay.
Like
that's
I
fine.
still
That's
hate
fine.
OBJ. Like
the only reason that I'm cool with the Warriors winning another championship is because they don't have Zaza on their roster anymore. So
I heard you love Zaza though.
I would say single-handedly, but it was single-footly ended the Spurs dynasty. So I hate him with a burning passion.
It's okay. I'm really mad at the Hornets for firing Coach B because he was the assistant HC to Pop, and Pop is probably one of the best NBA coaches ever, at least in my lifetime.
There's a lot of us that think he's a GOAT. There's some that don't. I will say this: his coaching tree is just crazy. Those that have come off of him, obviously Steve Kerr, Ime, Becky, who's coaching the best team in the WNBA currently. So yeah, definitely the Spurs run throughout the league, definitely. So if there's anything else that you guys want to wrap up and just maybe say what your hopes are for next season. I know you said, Steve, maybe just bring it back, but we do have the draft coming on Thursday.
Yes,
obviously, you're not going to have a whole lot going on with the draft, but is there anything that you can hope to do? Do you know what pick you have, and if you have a pick?
Well, obviously the Warriors pick at the end of the first round. Actually, I think that's their 29th. Like they're second to last, I think, if I remember correctly. Okay. Close to the bottom. I haven't looked at it quite yet. I actually have to do some NBA draft prep because me and my friends usually do a nice group chat during it and try to pick, who's going to be next and all that fun stuff and, have a beverage or two during it. But, which, by the way, maybe I can join the sip-off Thursday. That would be fun.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but yeah, like we did mention, they do only have 8 players currently under contract right now going into next season. So obviously you need to know, hey, who can we re-sign? And they've done really good in the past. So maybe they work another sign and trade where if somebody really wants Looney, maybe you work a sign and trade, for somebody for him. I hope they keep him. I really want Looney, Peyton the second, and Porter Jr. back for sure. Everybody else is kind of plug and play. Because with
I like Kuminga with you guys too, though. And that's the thing. His rookie season or was it his second season?
It's his rookie year. Yeah. He's his year, so good till 2025. He's 19 years old. Like he's 19 years old. Like, so he's under contract through 2025. He's to me, he's almost as close to untouchable as untouchable can be. And just in my, when people started throwing out the Kuminga and Moody and Wiseman for Damian Lillard crap, I was like, please God, no. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Like, it's not a video game, people. Like, there's one basketball, and like, it matters about fit. And like, that's the good thing. The best thing about the Warriors is they fit so well together. And because Steph Curry is one of the most unselfish superstars of all time, if Klay's going off, fine. He's like, I'll just defer to Klay. If Klay's fine, I'll just, and then like that's how I knew they were going to win the series in 6. Just have to go back real quick. That's how I knew they were going to win the series in 6. When he went 0 for 9 from 3 in Game 5 and they still won, that's when I was like, oh, he's going to have a huge game, and it's going to be, and he went 34, 7 and 7 and hit 6 threes. So again, winner's belt. I can steal some of my son does have a couple of WWE replica belts. I can steal those and wear it for next week. Thank you, Jordan, and good luck to your. Well, never mind. I can't say it. Thanks to your point about sports grudges, I can't wish Jordan good luck tonight because I will always. And I always hate that.
Okay, so Steve, we're gonna have to get your son an AEW belt.
Yes.
I mean, at least they're not shady.
I'm going 9 days. Come to Detroit in 9 days. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
You and my husband need to be best friends.
We do.
So, Jen, what do you hope for the draft with Boston, and kind of what direction do you want to see Boston improve on next season?
So we 53 draft pick right now. And I'm thinking, so from everything I've heard, because I kind of get lost in the shuffle with all the different basketball players in college and all of that. So my, the names I've been researching, I kind of like Aneka Akawango. I mispronounced his name. I'm sorry.
I would have to.
He's the number. He's the big man from USC. So we can really use another big man. So that's where I would like to see us go. But honestly, I don't want to see a lot of changes in our lineup either.
Okay.
I mean, I think we're doing really solid. I think, coach is doing a great job. Definitely. So, I mean, to go from where we were.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I will say center depth is just an issue that is so common within the league. Like, there's so many teams that are looking for center depth. My team personally, the Mavs, even though the Mavs just got Christian Wood, kill me. I was not happy about that trade. They got exponentially better, so much better, adding Christian Wood, which, I mean, we have to see how he fits with the team, because sometimes it just doesn't work out like that, but he's a walking double and an excellent center presence. So they definitely got much better. Is there anything that you think is going to happen in not your team? Like, what do you think is going to happen in the league in this free agency, in this off-season period? We hear rumors. What is there any one big move that you think is going to happen? And we'll probably end it on that. Like, there's talks that Dame might leave. There's talks that we won't see Zion in New Orleans. Is there anything you think, like, one big move that's going to happen in the off-season?
Kyrie, the Lakers, I heard today.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, about 9 hours ago, it came out that the Nets are realizing Kyrie isn't worth it. But Kyrie just needs to go play
LBJ
abroad.
and Kyrie back together? I don't even know what to think about that.
I do. But we're a rated G show.
Okay.
With the draft on Thursday, we're going to hear a bunch of rumors and leak things and whatever between now and Thursday when the draft starts. Trying to hear like, who's going to try to move up, who's going to move down, who's going to try to package some stars, blah blah blah. So we're going to hear a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Hopefully something fun happens because I feel like the last couple of years the NBA offseason has become like a crazy thing in of itself, like almost where like if you had to rank it, it's like playoffs, off season, regular season. Like in the
right. No, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Like the off season has been nuts. So I'm sure we're going to hear
even the W had a crazy off season, a free agency period.
Yeah,
like we saw like the landscape of the teams just completely. Yeah, absolutely. Just completely changed. And so I guess that's my question. Do you think the landscape of the NBA is going to change this offseason?
It takes one, not really answering your question. If one big move happens, a bunch will domino effect.
Yeah.
No question about that. If it doesn't happen, then I think most teams, in my opinion, I think most teams that were good should feel good about themselves. Like, hey, if we didn't have some injuries here, if we didn't have this happen here, like, because I'm sure Jen agrees with me. Neither one, if you told us at the beginning of the year that we would meet in the finals, we would have 100%. Right? Like,
no, not at all.
Like, we could lose in the finals. I don't care. Like, if you told me at the beginning of the year, hey, the Warriors are going to the finals. I mean, I said all year, I said after last year's show, I said that they shouldn't move anybody with Wiggins, Clay, Draymond, them all healthy. They're a top 4 seed in the West, and they were. But by no means going into the year did I expect them to win the championship. I'm not going to lie. They did. So I think there's a lot of teams, the Suns, the Bucks, go down the list that feels good about themselves.
Well, and should
feel good about themselves.
I think the Hornets actually do too. I know that's weird. I know we need a coach, but I think our core team does. I know that's weird.
I kind of view Charlotte the same as the Spurs. Like they have the potential to get there. They have some good pieces, and they have a few good things going on, but they need to make a few moves to figure out exactly what direction they're going to go. Do not hire Mike D'Antoni as y'all's head coach. Well, I guess that's going to end it.
And I'm like,
oh gosh. So. I mean, you'll have offense, but you will have no defense to speak of. So I mean, at least.
That's the best walk-off line ever, Megan. We should just end the show right there.
Don't hire Mike D'Antoni.
Good night, folks.
Vogel is back in talks, apparently.
I used to call Bill O'Brien the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL. So tons of talent. Never did a thing with it. All right, guys. So that's going to end it. Thank you guys so much. For watching the NBA Carousel. This is our last episode of season 2. We appreciate everybody who shared, commented, or watched. And just thank you guys so much for taking the time to be on the show as well. I know it takes a certain amount of commitment and time to be on the show. I really appreciate the two of you and everybody else who was a part of the show. Just thank you guys so much. Make sure you check out Sideline Sports. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's Sideline Sports 1 on Twitter. And we have a group on Facebook, but we also have a couple other things going on, our shows as well. So we have shows every single day, every single sport. So just check us out. Is there any shout outs you guys want to give?
Jen, go ahead.
Megan and I and our girl Carrie have our show tomorrow night, 3 Chicks in a Pod. Check us out, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have Confidential with Steve tomorrow night. And Jacob, and hey, I'm just surrounded by my peeps, right? I love it.
Eastern.
With Jacob and Jordan Long, as well as J.B. Ellis, who's the host and producer, EP on that show, and Denzel Snipes, who's our producer. On Thursday nights, we have the Pendant's Pendant on and the Sip Off. I'm going to try to make it on there. I'm going to talk to Jacob about changing our time slot. And then on Sundays, we also have Basket Bros where I produce that. And I would like to give a big shout out to you, Megan. Thank you for everything you do. Steve, I love Smack Talk with you. You're awesome with it. You do it the way I do it, all in good fun. No personal jabs. Love it. And so thank you guys both very much.
Awesome.
No, definitely. Thank you. Definitely thank you to you, Jen. Definitely huge thanks to the hostess with the mostest, Megan Price.
Yes.
Appreciate being on the NBA Carousel. Jumped on the sip off once or twice. I hope to go on there more. Confidential, when I decide to want to stay up past my bedtime. On Tuesday nights, it's just it's just a great group of people. So I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody who watches, comments, listens, whether it's live or anytime during the day, or the week. That's the fun thing about it. So definitely appreciate it, and we'll just should we walk? Yep, there we go. We'll just
all right. Cheers to Steph.
Hey. Cheers to Steph.
Who to Draymond and Clay. Good night.
Right. Good night.